Hi, I'm Elizabeth and I'm here to talk about books. Today I'm doing the Finally Fall book tag. I was tagged to do this by the lovely Sean over at Siani Reads, and I will leave links to her channel and to the original tag down below. But before we start, just a little disclaimer. I'm probably gonna get kicked out of BookTube for saying this, but I don't like fall. I much prefer spring and summer where the sun is out, there is heat, and the grass and trees are green. I can go swimming in lakes and eat ice cream outdoors and read books in the park. And I guess I could still do all those things even though it's autumn in Norway, but I guess that would make me a tad more masochistic than I actually am. So for me, fall is the time where it gets wet and it gets dark and it gets cold and I get sad and melancholy and lose all the extra energy that summer gives me. That just might influence my answers to some of these questions slightly. We'll see. On to the questions. Question 1. In fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. The Early King and the Kid in Yellow by Daniel Dutton. This is a book set in a future version of Ireland where it's been raining for years and years and years on end. So everything in this book is influenced by this gloomy weather. It's dark, it's grey, it's wet, soggy, damp, moist. It feels like everything has kind of got this slimy coating. It feels like everything is rotting. Nothing can just stay crisp and clear, and that really sets the mood for this book. Really enjoyed the book as well. Liked how it plays with language, and it's got a decent story as well, so I definitely recommend checking it out. Question 2. Nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. Sorgens overalt by Valérie Rousseau. This is a French poetry collection in Norwegian translation. It's translated into the Norwegian by Kjersti Skomsvold, who is one of my favorite Norwegian authors. The French original title is Pas revoir, and the English translation it's called Cold Spring in Winter, I think. So this, as I said, is a poetry collection. It deals with the loss of her father, and it really gut-punched me the first time I read this. All the poems are connected by this overarching theme, and they are just so raw and so filled with emotion without being like sappy or sentimental. And I really like how the language kind of breaks apart in this. It's hard to see where one sentence begins and the next ends. The word order is all scrambled, and sometimes she just dips into this child language or nursery rhymes, and everything is just so... It's very powerful. To me it felt like the grief was so strong that language just crumbled, and that really came across well in this book. So even though I don't read a lot of poetry, this is definitely my favorite poetry collection I have read to date. Question 3. Fall is back to school season. Share a non-fiction book that taught you something new. I think all non-fiction book teaches me something, that's why I read them, but I chose one book in particular for this, and that's Through the Language Glass, Why the World Looks Different in Different Languages by Guy Deutscher. This was the book that first introduced me to the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, that is a theory within the field of linguistics that says in the strong version that the language you speak determines what you're able to think, or in a weaker version that it will influence the way you think. This book is probably not the most nuanced book you'll find on the topic, but it was the one that introduced me to it, and it completely blew my mind when I first read it. Question 4. In order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional household, family, or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. Looking through my bookshelves, I couldn't really find a lot of books where I would like to be friends with the people in them. Tend to read really bleak stories, it seems. But in the end, I went with The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, because the companionship they have on this spaceship seems like a nice place to be. Except the fact that I'm terrified of flying, and spending a year on a spaceship in the vacuum of space would probably not be the best place for me, but hey, I'll take what I can get. The colourful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of full-coloured spines. I did say I didn't like fall, didn't I? Number 6. Fall is the perfect time for storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss is based around the main character telling the story of his life. Fits the bill. Number 7. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. I don't read much dark and creepy stuff, but I guess Monstrous by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda would fit the bill. These are fairly gothic in their artwork and certainly have an air of creepiness to them, with all the monsters and blood and gore going on. Number 8. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. For me, I guess there's nothing more heartwarming than books. So Ex Libris by Anne Fadiman, which is just this lovely little collection of essays all about books, about reading, about the physicality of books, and about all things book related, really. I read this book this summer and I absolutely adored it, and I will definitely be revisiting this many times over, and this would probably be the kind of book that would be able to cheer me up when I was gloomy because of the rain. Also, this book let me know that my ex-boyfriend was wrong in saying that I must be the only person on the globe that buys books by weight, because she is buying 11 pounds of books on a trip to a bookshop, she informs us. So clearly other people than me judge books by how much they weigh, which I mainly do when I'm traveling abroad and buying books and have to bring them home by plane, but still. Question number 9. Fall returns every year. Name an old favourite that you'd like to return to soon. I kind of think that I don't do many rereads, but when I've looked at what I've read this year and last year, I see that that's not quite true. Particularly, I tend to reread the first books in series when new ones are released. But I'm not always very good at rereading my favourites, and in particular I have said many times, but probably not on this channel, that my favourite author is Doris Lessing, and she has written so many books that I kind of struggle to let myself reread the ones I have already read, because there are so many other ones that I haven't read yet. But earlier this year I reread The Golden Notebook, which is my go-to answer for favourite book of all time. And another one I would really like to revisit is Mara and Dan, which is probably not one of her most famous books, but it's one of the first I read by her, and it's one that has stuck with me. I still remember vividly some of the scenes in this book and some of the ideas, and I really would like to revisit this and see if I still enjoy it as much. This is a story about two siblings, like 1,000 years into the future, where there's a new ice age, and they are kind of fleeing the drought of their homeland, and it's just this quest for going north to a place where the climate is livable and where you won't die of hunger and thirst, basically. So I would like to revisit this, maybe even within the year. Question 10. Fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. Any reading night is a cozy reading night, really. What I do need is my chair, my reading light, a blanket, because I'm always cold, And I mean, a small piece of chocolate would always be welcome, I guess. And then the 11th and final question is to tag someone, and I think just about everyone has done this tag, and fall is almost over. In fact, it was snowing yesterday, so winter is coming. I will tag anyone in the southern hemisphere who kind of can enjoy the long summer and don't have to face the dread of fall for another few months. So let me know, am I really the only one on BookTube who prefers summer to fall? Until next time, bye bye.